Hello, everyone. Welcome to Soulpreneur Symposium, where I bring soulpreneurs, spiritual entrepreneurs from all over the world who are here to share their spiritual gifts to help the collective to ascend to higher stages of consciousness, to help live them aligned life, a soul aligned life, and a magical life. And today I have with me my fantastic friend Sully, who is a spiritual guide, an empowerment coach, and an expert in human design. And today we are going to learn from her what is human design and how fascinating it is when somebody gets to learn about the human design chart. So, Sully, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing so great to be here, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Yes,
Mhm.
I'm so excited to talk about, share about it, and I can't wait to start.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I should let our viewers know that I have had my human design done from Sully just 2 weeks back, and it was insane because 95% of all the things that she was saying about me, and we had just first met, it was like she was reading me like a book. It was one of the most insane things. After that, I just knew that I had to talk with you and bring you out of the world because, man, that was crazy what you did and how quick you did. You had not met me, you did not know me, and yet you knew things about me that not my closest friends or family members know, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Sully, so the first,
it was great.
yeah, it was insane. The first thing that I would like to ask you is, would you like to share with us what is human design? What exactly it is?
So, human design is a holistic scientific method that helps you discover your soul's blueprint and helps you navigate through life to make the best decision the way you're designed to. Many times people clash is because they're not following their design, and if they knew, their relationships would be better. Knowing thyself, it's much easier than and then being able to relate to others. So human design helps us discover our true self
Wow.
and why we make the decisions that we make, how we do it, how we operate, what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses. So having this tool as the human design is it gives us like this gift to really remind us of who we are, why we're
Mm,
here, what we came here to do, what is our life purpose, how
wow.
are we designed to eat, where we're designed to live, how we're making choices. Are we making choices from our mind or from our authority, right? So, human design really consists of four important elements, which is the chakras, the Kabbalah, the I Ching, and astrology. And all four creates the unique design to when you were born, since you were born. And through the environment and your relationships to others, you have defined who you are. But in really, to really live your true self, it takes 7 years to decondition who you thought you are. And that means letting go of the beliefs and what you've been conditioned to believe, and then starting to living from your true authentic self. And this is why I love human design so much, because I feel so connected to it, because the more I have dived into it, the more authentic I am. The more I am living by my design, the more connected I am to who I am, the better relationships I have, stronger and higher vibrational relationships I have encountered in my life because I've discovered my own design. I discovered human design almost 10 years ago, and my life has changed ever since. And it's the best beautiful gift and I ever encountered. There's still people today that I talk to, they say, I never heard of that. What is that?
Mm,
They have no idea how they could get an intuitive reading just by looking at the chart.
My God.
And this chart shows so much of a person, and on top of that, use my intuitive gifts to dive deeper into the design and able to do this reading for the other person and able to help them see what they haven't been able to see for themselves. But when it's being brought to the surface, it's like an aha moment. It's a greater awareness. And trust me, you don't think the same anymore. Things just shifts. Like your perception of how you see things just gets ingrained in how you perceive things, because if we put all the pieces together, it all makes sense. So
Wow.
that's human design there in a nutshell.
Wow. You explained it so well. When we hear about human design, I remember the first time I heard about human design, a friend introduced the concept to me. When you hear about the two words human design, it feels like something to do with biology. Human
Yes.
body, or maybe,
Yeah.
the skeletal system, nervous system. But then found out that, wow, it's very similar to astrology, but it goes to areas that I didn't know about, right?
Yeah.
So, one question that I had, when I first discovered human design, and ever since you gave me the human design reading 2 weeks back, was that, and you did mention there are four aspects to it, and one aspect is astrology. So, would you like to maybe share a little bit about what is the difference between human design and astrology? Because a lot of people have dabbled into astrology, but human design, I don't think many people know. So, would you like to share the distinction?
Yes. So human design does have astrology in it. However, it consists in more than just the astrology, because the astrology focuses on the planets, on the alignments of the planets, where they lined up, and the timing and what each planet represents. That's what astrology really focuses on. But
Right.
human design focus on the bigger scope. It's more about how to explain it. The human design has these other elements that bring in more information about the person's, the essence, the core of the person. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
we can use some planets in the human design to see why a person is struggling with such and
Mm-hmm.
such situation in their life,
Mm-hmm.
and what are really their true talents and their gifts that they can bring to the world. So the 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 human design itself has 9 energy centers, and we look
Ah.
at that too. We look at the energies that are coming from these centers. We look at the numbers of these energies that are coming from the centers. So we
Mm.
study this chart in human design that helps us dissect what it means rather than focusing on planets, which is what astrology is about, because astrology is
Wow.
just the planets. We do incorporate some of the planets into the human design, but not all of it is just planets. There's more than that.
Right. Thank you so much for explaining, because I've noticed that when you were reading my human design chart, you did mention things like, oh, Debjit, the first thing I remember you told me was you are a generator. And, you also mentioned there are people who are manifestors and
Mhm.
reflectors, and there's another type, I think. Would you like to share what are those
Yeah,
things?
so there are 5 types. There's
Oh,
the generator, manifesting generator, which are 70% of the population.
I
And
see.
then you have projectors, 20% of the population. Manifestors are 8% of the population, and reflectors, the rarest one, is a 1% of the population.
Oh.
So these types, but it's more into it. Like these are the 5 umbrellas
Mm-hmm.
to, and there's more when we look at your chart. And yes, as a generator that you are, you're here to build and to create. Any generator has their sacral defined, so they have the life force energy always activated in them and always on the go to
Mm.
to create, to build. It has that energy to do that,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to the other types. They don't have the sacral divine, so
Mm-hmm.
they need more rest. And they're here more to guide, to inform. Like the projector's here to guide and to mentor. The manifestor is here to inform and initiate. The reflector reflects back the energy. Seer, right? But all these other types don't have the sacral divine, except for the generators and the manifesting generators.
Wow. Wow, I see. So when you mentioned about the defined sacral, I remember I was researching a little bit on my human design chart, and I found out
Yeah,
about, oh, you have defined this or undefined that, and the
yes,
sacral was a main thing, and you also mentioned something about the spleen, right? So would you
yes.
like to share a little bit about what is this defined, undefined energy centers and what does it do?
So yeah, so the energy centers are defined, are consistent, reliable energy that you have available to you at all times. It's always there. It's always available.
Mm-hmm.
But when someone has it undefined, that means it's not always available. And that doesn't mean it's never available. It just means that it's not always readily accessible. So
I
it
see.
can become like, so let me give you an example. I am a projector. I don't have my sacral defined.
I see.
And you do. Right now, you and I are having this connection and
Mm-hmm.
communication. We are in each other's auras. So my sacral becomes defined because
Oh.
yours is defined. So this is how relationships interact. It's like I can easily believe unconsciously that I'm a generator because I'm in your presence and I'm going to have this energy to go, 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 go. When in
Ah.
reality, I need to be in my own space and take some rest, get some rest.
Hmm.
And but in your presence, so that you might have other energy centers undefined that I may have defined, because
Mm-hmm.
there's a total of nine. It may become defined with my
Hmm.
presence, right? I
Wow.
don't have your chart in front of you, but like if I have one defined and you don't, yours become defined, and this is how we connect. And then you have access to that.
I
So
see.
one or the other, like there's we call it channels. There's channels, right? Like when a channel connects one energy to the other center, that creates a channel, and then both centers becomes defined. So I
Hmm.
have the channel of the self love present moment. So having that channel, you may, without me saying anything, in my presence,
Mm-hmm.
you may become aware of something in the present moment, like
Yeah.
having a realization,
Mm-hmm.
because I have that channel activated and it's only available
Hmm.
in the present moment. So when I have this interaction with someone in the present moment, we don't know what's going to transpire, but it will rise up, it will surface, something will
Hmm.
come up, something will be revealed.
Yeah.
So these are the gifts that we have, and sometimes we don't have to do or say anything, we just have to be
Hmm.
present. And the
Ah.
more connected we are to ourselves, the better relationship we have with others.
Hmm. That makes a lot of sense. One question that immediately comes to my mind. So, are you a projector then?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you're a projector, I'm a generator. What differentiates a projector from the generator personality?
Okay, so let me give you a scenario. So we're out in the field, right? And
Yeah.
we're about to build this house or a building, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
The generators, the generators will build that that property, the business, the building, the house. Let's say they'll build
Right.
this building, right?
Mm.
So the generators will build the building. The projector, from their experience, will guide them as to where to put what, right?
Mm.
And then the manifestors will come in and inform them of what may not look right and
Oh.
will initiate some movement to take place from what they
Mm.
could see. And then
Okay.
when everything is done, the reflector will reflect back to them their final work.
Wow. Wow, that
Yeah.
is fascinating. That is fascinating. It makes sense. Because I remember you used a similar example, like, Debjit, you being a generator, it just makes sense that you invited me to the podcast because I am
Yes.
not supposed to ask people. I am supposed to be invited. Can you share this
Yes.
example one more time?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
projectors must wait for the invitation so that it can
Mm,
be recognized and heard and
mm,
seen.
mm,
So the more I am connected to myself, the more opportunities I bring to the table to be invited. And I don't have to say yes to everything, but I just need to feel connected to the invitation and and then that would
mm,
take place. I'm not here to initiate it or to take action on it. I'm here to be seen and
mm,
recognized for my gifts and then be invited. I'd love to talk to you, Sully. I'd love to connect with you. I want to work with you. And then I feel the energy because we're
mm,
projectors, we're empaths. We could feel like if something feels correct for us or not.
mhm.
And then we can take on that invitation. But for generators, you just need to wait to respond. You don't need to wait
Wow.
for an invitation. You see, that's the difference. Waiting to respond and then
Mm,
taking the action based on your inner authority. So there's two things.
mhm,
There's the strategy and the inner authority, and that's how
mhm,
you make the decision.
mhm,
However, reflectors don't have inner authority. They need to wait 28 days for their lunar cycle to pass
mm.
in order to make a decision that it's best for them.
Wow.
So if someone doesn't have an authority, I highly recommend that you listen to your intuition,
Mhm,
listen to that small still voice inside of you. But normally most people do have an inner authority that they listen to make a decision. And then
mhm,
once they listen to their strategy and their inner authority, then they're
mhm,
able to make the best decision that's for them. And they'll either be satisfied, they'll be at peace, or they'll be successful with their
mm.
decisions. And they might be
Wow.
even surprised. But if they're not,
Mhm,
then if the people make decisions from their head, they'll be
mhm,
frustrated, confused,
mm,
disappointed, bitter, angry. Like
mm,
this is the opposite of when am I making the right decision versus,
mm,
make when am I making the right decision because I'm following my design and I'm being alignment with who I am and
mhm,
being true and authentic to who I am. And that's what's going to bring the satisfaction and the success
mhm.
versus I'm not listening to who I am and I'm
Right.
just listening to my head and I will end up
Yes.
being frustrated and bitter and disappointed, right? So
Wow.
that's the other thing that people learn as they get to know more themselves through their own unique design.
Oh, this particularly, touches me because I remember, you told something about me which I only know about myself. This is how I operate. You told me, Devjit, you reached out to me, only when you felt that that intuitive, energetic alignment. You waited for it. I knew you on threads. I follow you on threads. I love your quotes, but I waited. I knew I wanted to collaborate, David. But I waited until the right moment. It just feels like it. When the right moment is, something happens, and I then asked you, and then we had our first call, and you told me, like, this is what you did. I'm like, how can somebody else know this is what I did? This is what I do. And I've learned it the hard way, Sully, because I used to be all head, do this because right now it makes sense. And it has had landed me into trouble. It had landed me into the wrong timeline where I felt burnt out, not listening to my heart, nothing. But now I'm like, I am going to listen to my intuition, and only then, if something feels right, feels aligned, then I'm going to do things, right? You knew
Mhm.
about me instantly when you're reading my chart. How does that happen? What was in my chart that told you about this?
Yes, because your inner authority is the emotional authority. I don't have your chart in front of me because I've done so many readings after you. But I believe that you are the emotional authority, and in that in the waiting, the waves of emotions that passes, you find the clarity in
Mhm.
that waiting timing. Not
Right.
it, the clarity is not from the emotions, it's from waiting the time to pass and still feel like, oh, it still feels true that I want to move forward with this. And once you
Mhm.
know that, there's no stopping you. So those
Mm.
who have emotional authority, inner authority, are here to wait for that wave to pass. They're here to wait for that the emotional wave to pass, and you're not here to rush to make
Yeah.
any decision. And when you feel it's time because you've waited enough to know that it's time,
Mhm.
then you will be aligned with your truth and
Mhm.
you will feel satisfaction.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
that makes so much sense. One thing that I would like to share with my viewers at this point of time, that that if you are resonating with everything that we're discussing right now, please leave comments, ask questions to Suli. I'll personally request Suli to answer your questions. Ask her questions about human design. She's fascinating. She's not just a human design expert. I think her particular gift is she's an intuitive human design reader, because when she was reading my human design chart, I knew she was channeling. That thing was there, that authority in your voice, Julia, I remember. That only comes from when you're connected with your higher self. You are like, you are this way. Devjit, you eat this way. Devjit, you think this way. And I'm like, he is meeting me for the first time. I remember you told me, Devjit, you're somebody who's like really punctual. You want some people to come at exact time like this, and you expect them to come, and you're like, I'm like, how? She was insanely specific. That was crazy.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Once I'm in it, I was like, I don't know what's gonna come out of it. And every time I get to do this, I was like, I'm just gonna have fun because I'm so connected to what I'm really passionate about. And it shows, especially when, having that connection to myself in that sense. And then the other person saying, whoa, you are connected to me because you're seeing beyond of what's it is
yeah.
on this chart. So that makes it even more fun
Oh my.
because that's their like, I am delighted and surprised to like every time I have a reading, like, really? That resonated? Like, yes, like people sometimes I'm having a reading and they show me, oh, here's the item, here's what you're talking about. Like, and always get that feedback. This is like, oh, I'm definitely on the right path. This is what I love to do. It's
Oh
my
my
passion.
goodness. I know that. It feels the passion absolutely is felt when you do the reading. I think we have 10, 15 more minutes in our hand before we wrap up the
Yes,
podcast. So I would like to
yes,
ask you, because I think some of your viewers are now like really into it. They're like, okay, this is cool. I understand what human design is, but I think the coolest part is the chart itself. So, Suli, would you like to show us the chart, what a human design chart looks like? And maybe if somebody wants to figure out their own chart, guide them a little bit, how it
Yes, yes.
happens. What are the
I
things?
can share here. Share. Okay, let me know if you can see it.
Yes, I can say so. Can you make it a little bigger? There we go. Right.
Is bigger? A little bit bigger? I could put a little
Yes,
bit bigger.
yes,
There?
yes. This is perfect. Perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
There. Okay, so yeah, so this is how your human design would look like.
Uh-huh.
If we were to pull your chart. And like you see here, we have 9 energy centers.
Okay.
And this is the head, the ashna, the
Mm-hmm.
throat. In this image, all of them are defined, but that does not
Mm.
mean that you have, I mean, there are people that have all of them defined,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean that everyone has all of them defined.
Mm.
And then you have the G center, which is about who you are, your identity. The
Mm-hmm.
heart, they also
Interesting.
call it the ego. The ego, it's also about, you know, doing what you love and being accountable. There's
Mm-hmm.
solar plexus, which is also the emotional center. This
Mm-hmm.
this is the one that I said, Debjit, that you have defined, and this is
Mm-hmm.
on the place that you make your decision because it's always available to you, right? Then you have the
Right.
sacral here. This is the one that the manifesting generator and the generators,
Hmm.
both types, have it consistently defined. And if you're the other types, the projector, manifest,
Mm.
and reflector, you don't have it defined. It will be
Ah.
white. So if you don't have it
Oh.
defined, it will be white. And then there's the root. The root
Mm.
is about, being grounded,
Mm-hmm.
um, doing what's your priority, taking care of yourself physically, right? The spleen
Mm-hmm.
has to do with survival and your intuition, right?
Mm.
So I'm a 4-6 spleen projector,
Okay.
meaning my inner authority comes from my spleen.
Mm-hmm.
So I only listen, I can only get the answer once. If I don't listen to my spleen the first time around, I'll
Mm-hmm.
go into my head and I'll be confused. So
Mm.
following my spleen, listening to my spleen and my guidance, it's just in the moment like that. But there's people that others that are designed to listen to their sacral, which is yes or no. So these are the people that are designed to make a decision in the now, like right
Ah.
now, because they know yes or no if they want to do something.
Mm-hmm.
The emotional solar plexus right here are the ones that need to wait for the wave of emotions to
I see.
pass.
That's me, right? That's very
Yes,
much
this
me.
is you right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, feeling in your body too, right? You
Mm.
feel in your
Mm.
body, I feel like this nudge that's saying, yes, I must go this route. Yeah.
Right.
There's some, and I haven't encountered much, but there's some that have the ego as the inner authority defined. And
Oh.
they hear like to listen to what they love, what they doing what they love. Do I
Mm-hmm.
love this? Do I love that? And listening to that. But yeah, that's the human design. And then sometimes you see there's numbers here too.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
some energy sometimes that come out of these numbers that are coming out of this energy centers. They all have
Mm.
numbers
Mm-hmm.
and they represent a type of energy coming from
Okay.
that energy center.
Wow.
So someone may not have that energy center defined, but they might have some energies coming out of that center
Mm-hmm.
that they have access to
I see.
readily. Yeah.
Okay. This is fascinating. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing this chart. One question I would like to ask you is that, I can see that, you mentioned there's a connection with astrology because you asked me about my birth date, birth time, location, and everything. And there's now you can
Yeah.
see the chakra centers, but it's not just like, how we know it, like in India, the chakras, you see that the seven main chakras that you talk about.
Oh, yeah.
But here we have
Right.
nine, which is, and in the chakra system, we have, the heart chakra, but
Right.
the heart chakra is
Yes.
usually this one, the center. But we have
Yes. Right.
an actual heart right on, on the left hand side,
Yeah.
which is fascinating.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Like so I think the head would probably be like the crown, right? And then we have the
Yeah,
ajna would be the third eye, the throat,
throat,
and we have the heart,
right,
the solar plexus here, the sacrum, the root.
sacral and the root, right. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
And this,
yeah, yeah.
and you have a
So
spleen too, and which is
yeah.
usually not
So
in the chakra system, right?
yeah, there was like a point in time where like the spleen and the solar plexus were like split, and then it
Ah,
became the spleen and the solar plexus.
I see.
So that we, because they're both in terms of the the spleen is like the primitive time of like surviving, where we needed to have the instinct of like
Mm,
where we're gonna find our food, where we're gonna
mm,
have our shelter. To so that's the spleen is coming not just intuitively but also survival mode, being
mhm.
able to know that we have what we need that's gonna be provided for us.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much for showing us the chart, Sully.
Yes, of
This is
course.
fascinating, fascinating. Okay,
Yeah.
I guess now you can close down the chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be asking you a few final questions before wrapping up the
Yes.
podcast. But before again, anybody who have any question, please let us know.
Yes.
Sully would be more than
Yes.
happy to answer your questions. And Sully has helped countless number of people. Her testimonial list is
Yes.
insane. It's insane how
Yeah.
many people she has given, uh, information about the human design. And it's so fascinating. This podcast does not do enough. This is not nearly enough. So if you guys would want, we would have love to have Suli again for another podcast, have a much more detailed conversation because there's so much I want to talk to you about. But because we are almost around ending at the end of the podcast, one question that I'd like to ask you, Suli, is, for somebody who is listening to our podcast and thinking like, this is fascinating. This seems truly fascinating, but still thinking like, but is it for me? Like, because everybody in the spiritual path somewhere resonates along these modalities. Like we hear about something and like, yeah, I'm feeling called to it. But would you like to share something like, who is human design for? What knowledge it can give to a person that can help them in their life, let's say their personal life, professional life, because we all got challenges when it comes to personal relationships or health or finances. How can human design help?
Yes. So human design really helps pretty much anyone who is really interested in finding the clarity about themselves, who really want to connect with themselves, find their life purpose,
Hmm.
find a deeper meaning of who they are, and wanting to build stronger relationships with those around them.
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
and also serves them to be in alignment with their desires. You know, it could be in any area, in relationships, career,
Hmm.
health, and yeah, and just that deeper connection with themselves.
Right.
And it will bring a greater awareness.
Right.
So, human design can help you discover the discover you and making the best decision for you and those around you. It can
Right.
help you change your life in the way that it will empower you to take action and to see things from a different light. Like
Wow.
I remember that you like ever since like the last time we connected, like you've been on fire. After, like, did you feel anything shifted for you?
I know. I was about to say the exact thing. I remember, when I was talking with you, you told me that you were a generator and this is how you work. You were supposed to reach out to me. You are supposed to create and connect with people. Not only that, you told me, where will I thrive? You told me you are supposed to live in stuff like cities where there's a lot of connections. But you also said there is a thing going on about me that, I get drained when I keep doing stuff constantly and I need to come back. But then I need to go out again and not be a complete hermit. And after that, the biggest thing that I want to let our viewers know that shifted for me was like when you feel seen by someone to that extent, there's something that, we are all needing confirmation about who we truly are, that we're discovering. That is what is going on. When I felt seen by you like that, because a week or 2 weeks back before I met you, I got a download that I need to collaborate with spiritual soulpreneurs and, do the thing. And the way it happened. And I was telling my friend, my friends that, I met this person and she was reading me like a book. And I now know I have to create soul aligned communities. I have to move on with Soulpreneur Symposium. I want to do a summit. I want to do this. And because you saw it in me and you spoke it to me, which was the essence of who I am. After that, my confidence in myself just went skyrocketed. I was like, she told me who I am. That means I'm supposed to be that. you know, like that. Do you
Yes,
feel that
yes.
in me too? Like,
Yes, yes. So yes, I definitely feel that shift for sure. I was like, yeah, when you were messaging me afterwards, like I really even felt the shift even through your messages. Like you're on fire. You're like, I'm going for this. I'm like, I'm so proud of you.
yes, I want to
Yeah.
let our viewers know that, my experience with human design reading with Suli was not just a human design reading. It was a very intimate experience because when Suli was reading, it felt like, she was connecting deeply with my higher self. I think there is a connection with higher self that to higher self that happens during what you
Yeah.
do, which was the
Yeah.
best part. I felt like soul level connection, a very safe space, and it's
Sacred.
a sacred, it's undescribable. And that is why, I would urge anybody who is hearing our podcast, if they resonate with everything that we have been discussing, work with Suli, get your first human design reading done. You will not regret it. I will tell you because my mind was blown. So coming to that, if somebody wants to reach out to you, how do they reach out to you? I would be sharing your socials in the description. Would you like to share, like, what is the process? How does it happen? How do you do their reading?
Oh, yes, yes. So I have a website called Inner Magic Healing.
Right.
So it's www.innermagichealing.com, and someone can drop an inquiry there, or if you want to schedule a 15-minute complimentary call, we
Right.
can connect and see if we are a vibrational match, or if you had any questions, any clarity, for sure, we can connect.
Yes.
Uh, and then, yeah, I'm definitely on Instagram, I'm on Threads, and on Facebook. And I also have a spiritual group on Facebook as well. And I have a Facebook page that people can follow me there as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sully. All her socials will be in the description of my video. If you're watching it on Instagram or any podcast, the descriptions will still be there. Feel free to reach out, feel free to comment, and Sully, would love to have you in another episode because there's tons of more questions because you are truly somebody who knows what human design is and truly passionate. There's so many things that we would love to discuss. But for now, we are going to be ending the podcast here. Thank you so much for being a part of this podcast with me, Sully. Thank you so much. You are truly, truly a wonderful, person and gifted, truly gifted, and reach out to
Thank you.
Sully. She is amazing. She'll make your day. Your human design reading would be something that you'll remember for life because that is something that happened for me. I know. Thank you so much, Sully.
Thank
Absolutely.
you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely.
From my heart to yours.
Absolutely. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, give this video a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and follow Sully on her socials. Links are in the description. So have fun, guys. See you again soon. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Hi.